Sri Lanka, and a big hi to everyone listening to us from wherever in the world. And for first time, since I started the show without any hiccups, I got three young lads on standby, and they are ready to fly, ready to go. And it's amazing to see that these boys, they got their that well in on time and got all their what can I say, technicalities sorted out and ready to go. And that's discipline. It's good to have the boys with me, and so I will bring them one by one. And the most senior out of the three will be Geshan. So we'll be bringing Geshan online just now. Let's see. Good morning to you, Geshan. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning. Hope
Good
everyone's
to have
having a
you.
good weekend. Yeah, good start to the good weekend.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And the boy from Kandy, just the outstanding Nimesha, former St. Anthony's boy, will be joining us. Nima. Good to have you, Nima. How are you doing?
Likewise, thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh,
I'm
good to
good.
have you, son. Good to have you. I'm well. And the little naughty Tilas, standing by, the twin brother of Ravindu. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Ravindu online because of his national commitments. Ravindu, good to have you, son. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir, and to everybody who's listening in. I'm happy to be here, starting off the day. Hi.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's so nice to have you boys. And let's see, we already got, you boys are stars. We already got 11 people listening to us. So good morning to everyone. Good to have you on the show. That it's lovely to have all three of you. And I'm so grateful that you found time. And with one call, I must tell everyone who's listening out there that how eager and how keen you boys were. And with one invitation that you decided to come on the show. And we spoke about, it's the first time that I have literally I have gone online, and not the first time. Most of the times I make sure that we are on time, but this time no issues, no hassles, and you boys well on time. That's discipline. That's people talk about discipline these days, and then what we need to tell people outside there, that there's no issue with our discipline. If you say that 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock, and that's how it works. Senior man Geshan, you have Captain Anand, and you had a few seasons with CCC, and then now you're with Kalutara. Tell us about that is what's going on in Sri Lanka cricket, and at the moment what people want to hear. And you boys are the new breed of domestic cricketers who are aspiring to play, first of all, Division 1 cricket and then go higher places. What do you think is happening to Sri Lanka cricket right now? From your point of view, is it is it a skill factor, whether it's something else, whether it's discipline, fitness? What do you boys think?
First of all, good morning everyone again. And first of all, I should say, yes, we all are having to face a unavoidable global pandemic these days. So preparation wise, I think even the national setup, even the domestic setup, sometimes will have to be excused depending on the conditions and situations that we all have to face.
Yep.
But I think looking back at the past few years, yes, we are a little behind from comparing to all the other teams in the world. So
behind in what sense, Geshan? When you say we are behind in preparation, or what do you think?
I think it's a combination of all of that. But yes, I see that everyone who is involved is giving their best efforts to get our cricket back to what was in our to our glory days. But what I see is, yes, everyone is working hard on it. Everyone's around is working hard on it. But I highly doubt whether they are taking the right actions, right solutions for right problems. So that is what I think in general. If you take everything as, if you take it as a collective effort. I think that is what is going wrong with Sri Lankan cricket, and even not just international level, even the domestic structure, applying the right fixes to the problems that we are currently facing. So that is why I think we are a little behind. But not. I don't think it is. It is not anything that we cannot recover. So I think we can easily recover. Only thing that the right fixes has to be in place. A right solution has to be in place for these issues that we are currently facing.
Well said, Geshan. Good morning to I think all your teammates are watching. I can see Sachin, Shanuka, Banka Rajapaksa. Good to have you on the show, son. The skipper is online. Everybody's watching, supporting you boys. Nimba, what do you think?
Everyone.
Yeah, good. Yeah, great
It's
to
great
have.
to have everyone. We
Yeah,
haven't seen each other in a long time, so hopefully on
yeah.
Monday.
True, Nimba. I think Lasit, Lakshan, all the teammates are just supporting you.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's good news that
Hi, Bangaya.
the Leo Francisco, all your teammates are watching you. Our trainer is watching you.
Oh, I did my part in the morning.
All the stars from BRC.
Well, good to have them, and it's good news that we heard yesterday that the season is about to start. That that's some sort of good news coming. That I think as you rightly said that that Nimesha, I'm going to ask you. I think we have been training for a while, and that it was very difficult for us to focus because we didn't know where we were heading. That we first started training with the red ball kind of scenario, thinking that's the normal. That's the usual norm, I would say. You start with your 3 days, and perhaps you play your 1 days. And so we thought that it's going to the tournament is going to start with looking at the Sri Lanka cricket FTP, and with so many test matches in line, so we thought it would be red ball cricket, but unfortunately that did not happen. And the sad news is for Bhanuka and Dewey, rather that the West Indies tour is postponed. I don't know whether it will happen again. Looking at our future tour program, Nima, how hard it was with the COVID and keeping your focus and doing your training. Now that we know that from Monday, so we could have actually focus ourselves and start training because we know they're going to be the white ball format is going to start shortly. But how hard it was for you guys to keep your focus during this lockdown period?
Yeah, absolutely, because circumstances have changed drastically, I would say. It's not just for us, it's for everyone. So given these days, I think as athletes, it's very important to find that balance, because you don't know what you're training for most of the time, but that doesn't essentially mean that you have to take your focus off cricket, and that also doesn't essentially mean that it has to always be about cricket. So I think giving that mental relief, because obviously once the season started, there's going to be a lot of cricket being played. So in order for you to perform at a maximum potential, I think finding that right balance, it differs from person to person, I would say. So finding how to maximize your potential, how to strike that right balance, finding that way would be a great thing to do even during the last I don't know, couple of months. I think, like you said, we didn't know what we were training for. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't have an exact date or timeline. But I think the boys kept doing their work. I think this COVID situation helped open like everyone's eyes towards their fitness levels. Like, how can you not give excuses and like start training by yourself? Things like that. I think people found ways to do things. They found other hobbies and things to do. So I think striking that right balance and staying in the present moment would have helped most of them. I think that would have been a better way, and that would be a better way to go about things in future as well.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Bhanuka is that if you guys can see the question on screen, it's question to Geshan. It's a Geshan, what do you mean by solution for the problem? What would you suggest? That what do you have in mind? So Bhanuka has put you on the spot. You'll have to expand in what you said. What solutions are you talking about?
Yes, Bhanuka, good to have you on the show. Um, yes, I was commenting on general. So when it comes to finding solution, I think we will have to find where we have to uh, improve on. So let's say in general, if it's a fitness factor, if it's a managing situations factor, or else if it's a talent that we want to find. So we have to focus what we need to improve on, and we need to apply right fixes. So for an example, if it is I don't think that Sri Lankan cricketers in general, the domestic players or anyone, doesn't have the talent. They all have a very We all have very good talented players on and off international circuit as well. But are we good enough? Are we prepared enough to take that challenge to go and strive at international level? And do we get that grooming in playing domestic? So that is something that we need to focus on. And I think last time also I spoke about the outside factor. Now, apart from the cricket, how we can manage and balance our life apart from cricket, which gives you another aspect of our life which contribute to our end performance, and how to
Okay.
manage social media, and how to deal with what we have to face in current situations. So that is also one thing that we have to we there are different aspects there. It's a mental aspect and also skill factor and also preparation. So different aspects, you have to provide different solutions. So
All right,
that,
Geshan. So, what your so like if I may ask you, I know it's a little, it could be controversial. So, what is all these quick fixes that SLC have come up with, changing physio, changing trainers, or the chief selector stepping down, or appointing technical committees on a short-term basis? That's not what we require, isn't it? From a bigger picture, that there are other problems that that's surrounding Sri Lanka cricket, which we need to address. It starts from domestic level, which he needs to, there's, you need steady progression, how you carry on. And I think that's the bigger problem. Nimesha, what do you think, son? That all these things, just attending to a wound on surface is not the permanent or the long-term cure. What do you think?
Absolutely, because I something that I strongly believe in is having a very strong foundation. So if you don't lay a strong foundation, it's almost impossible to build on that. So that being said, I think uh, putting right things in place, having a process, a set process where all coaches, players can believe in, and trusting that process would be a good place to start. Because I'm pretty sure there's so many people out there who's well informed, very well experienced, more than me, and who's been through all this. I mean, they played at the highest level of the sport. They've represented their country, so they know how it's been. Yes, it's true that it's very different from the old days, but I think as an evolving nation, we need to facilitate and embrace new challenges, new changes, set certain standards where players need to meet, and then I mean, have faith in these players as well, and put them in a process where even they feel like they can trust the process, they can trust that they're progressing themselves, and having that faith in the system would be a massive thing for any other players.
yeah, if I'm to add one more thing to that, yes,
Yeah.
I think I'm fully on with Nimesha. Yeah, you need to create faith. I mean, you need to build faith in players. If the system keeps changing, if the system keeps changing, if it is not static, players lose faith on I mean what they are need to work on. So I think, yeah, I think just like you said, there has been many changes over the last week, and but if those, I think those changes has to be there for at least some time. I mean, you have to have a proper plan for a longer time, not to
Yeah.
keep changing, because it doesn't
Yeah.
fix anything. So you have to find what is the exact way that we are going to work on it, and you have to give it time, maybe 1 or 2 years, not to change every 6 months, not to expect faster and quick results. You can't expect quick results if you are going to strive if you are going to succeed in long term. So you might fail in the beginning, but identify the players, identify the structure, identify the way that you are going to work on it, and give it a time, maybe 1 or 2 years. That if that doesn't work, yeah, that's something else. But you have to at least try it on for another 2-3 years with the same structure. But if you don't produce results in short term, if you are changing again for maybe another committee or another physio or anything, that doesn't work, I think. And that gets the play that gets into players' mind, and that makes players lose faith on the people and the system, I think.
Right, very well said, boys. I think what you're saying is what we need is not short-term fixes. You fix the problem with an idea, with a long-term view. That the players can trust that we are on the right course. That's what you're saying, isn't that? That's if I'm not mistaken. Good to have. I think Ravindu was having few issues connecting.
Yeah.
I think he's in a Ravindu, you're there?
All good.
Oh, good. Yeah. Tilas, good to have you on the show, son. And it's a pleasure that people out there that if they want to know who Ravindu is, he's a twin brother of Ravindu Tillakaratne, and coming from a very well-known cricketing family. His father is none other than Geshan Tillakaratne. I hope your father is not around making you nervous. That I told him to stay away from you. How are you, son? How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, sir. Thank you so much for checking in. Hope you're too.
Yeah. I mean, good to have you on the show. What are you? Where are you, son? Now, that I know that you had a time since leaving school that you're with NCC, that you're fighting for a place. Then I think you joined. Have you joined army, Sri Lanka Army, or
Yes.
what's happening? You're breaking up, son. You're with army, are you?
Yes, sir. Positive.
All right. Okay. Good. So that's good news that that the season's starting. So are you going to stick with army, or that you're going to play for another club, or what are your plans?
Well, sir, I made the move to Army for 5 years, so I'm looking forward to getting started with them. It's a new environment for me, and just trying to make a change so I can get the best out of myself, and hopefully the environment there would enable me to do so. And I'm just very excited to get started. And we've received good news that the tournament is starting probably in the first week of March.
Right.
And very excited. Very exciting times indeed.
Good stuff. Chamika Karunaratne, good to have you, son. I hope you're feeling better, and lots of your fellow cricketers are watching you guys. And Banuka has posted another question, which we'll go to that. And before that, Ravindu, what do you think? I think Banuka asked a question that what do you think of what is happening in Sri Lanka cricket? And the boy spoke about having a long-term fix that the players can place their faith upon. Do you agree with that? What are your sentiments?
Yes, so that's a very good question, and from my humble point of view, I think that is very true. And I think players should be given a longer run and sort of given sort of like an idea of what their roles are. Maybe try and differentiate between white ball players and red ball players so that they can focus on their task at hand. And I just like to add a bit more to specific solutions. And from my humble point of view, I feel that we have not been doing enough specific training for specific challenges. I guess we should train under the same situations when we are back in Sri Lanka. For example, I think the England players, they've been training in a marquee in England, trying to create those humid situations and play on turning wickets, and I think that paid off for them. And I think specific training is the way to go.
Well said. Nimesha, what do you think? You believe that that prior to the that's like we saw certain interviews coming from the chief selector, and that various others commenting on what transpired, and let me put it this way: do you boys, in principle, do you believe that LPL is a good thing to Sri Lanka, or is it going to
Absolutely.
benefit us or not?
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
I think it is. Yeah, in a
So you
massive
boys,
scale.
you boys, in principle, you think that LPL is a good thing, that that should be there. Okay, so we
Yes.
all agree. Yeah, and then I think that's what we spoke about, and like, yes, that's a must. But then as Ravindu said, but we have to have in mind that okay, give priority to LPL, but in the other like, let's say that okay, there's a big difference between white ball and red ball cricket, so we should not focus our lose our focus what our objective is, that we should plan it properly. So do you boys think that that it happened, like that we were, before we went to South Africa, did we train properly, or what are your observations? Or there are two things, we don't have to be critical. I don't want to put you boys in a spot. We all know that LPL got postponed because of the COVID situation, and it all became cramped up. So few days after the LPL, the boys have to go to South Africa to play red ball cricket, and then after that we all saw what happened. So how do you boys suggest that that we overcome that, we play the huge difference between red ball and white ball and keep our focus? Nimesha?
Sorry, just sort of nagging a bit, but from what I heard, did you ask how we keep the focus between red ball, white ball, and different formats? Was that the
Yep.
question?
Yeah.
Okay. So something that I personally believe in is preparation. So preparation for anyone putting in the work behind. I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that our national team, everyone's doing that. But I just think we should make sure that we are focused at the right element, at the right that we are preparing for the right situations, if you know what I mean. So this preparation is something we cannot get away from, and we can't just simply rely on anyone's talent level or anything and just expect them to perform. But like Ravindu suggested, having different stages in for different ball games, so red ball and white ball, I think that is definitely very important. Because if you look at many of the other countries, leading countries, they have different favorites that they come into these situations. They have a certain set of players who are pretty much focused on white ball cricket. I think with the LPL, which was a great initiative and something that we've been needing for a long time, I think that as you may have seen, gives pretty much great exposure for like young talents in the country, and it'll only get better for us. So as a nation, I think it's very important for us to keep that consistency, keep having tournaments like this where it'll give exposure, and then by through ways of that, I think we will be able to get these diamonds out and get them to perform at the highest level for the country. And end of the day, it's Sri Lanka that wins.
Very well said, boys. What do you think? We saw a lot of injuries coming in, soon after the LPL and in South Africa. From a player's point of view, that well, I don't think that you boys have still encountered staying in a bubbles kind of scenario and playing cricket. So, in your view, what do you think? What really happened? Why so many people are going down? And the other day, I don't know whether I'll try and play the the clip if it's possible. We saw, like, one of your colleagues that playing in the T10 in Abu Dhabi, going down after bowling just a couple of deliveries. I'm just looking for the clip, if I can show people what actually happened. Why do you think the players are breaking down? Is it because of the COVID scenario, or what do you think? I know that you boys are pretty fit, but why is it happening? Why are so many injuries? And what's your opinion on that? Let me see whether I can show that video. What happened to Kevin? What do you think really? What is happening? What is happening to your fitness? Nimesha, you are the fitness man, fitness guru. Let us see whether we can play this. let's see whether we can play this the video. Here it comes.
This is how we look. It falls hard. I reckon it falls hard. That wicket is very, that pitch is very, very firm. I think he does well here. He realises there's a chance here. Yeah, there's a chance. All of a sudden, you forget about your sore knee. You get yourself in a position, good throw, and a good bit of work. And then all of a sudden, you realise you're in a bit of pain again. The wicket was the most.
That's very sad to see, isn't it? That's very, very, very sad to see that Kevin, is, I mean, the people talk about, lots of people say that we have issue with our fitness and that the boys are not fit to play at the highest level. And I don't think you boys agree that, we have a fitness issue. I know that how fit you boys are, that it's very heartbreaking to see Kevin, one of your colleagues, going down after bowling few deliveries. That's, do you guys think, is it the injuries coming in because of the lack of preparation? That you guys are not fully ready, but being pushed to play at the highest intensity. Is that the reason?
In my opinion, I think for every athlete, like we mentioned fitness. All right. So when it comes to a sport like this, fitness is, I mean, it definitely, in terms of how you look, there's a certain picture that it portrays. But when it comes to cricket, I think we prepare and our fitness should be aimed towards performance. So we should look at each individual and see whether doing this will help maximize his potential and his performance. Because end of the day, you don't want like a bunch of guys with like good, like big muscles and six pack won't win your games. If they are able to perform at the highest level, if this is the highest level of performance, or if we can improve their performance, fitness catered towards that is the best way to. I'm pretty sure the national team is catering towards that. But when it comes to the ones that I played with my colleagues, there's a misconception as to having like a good six pack or like well looked after body. I mean, that does play a role in a certain way, but when it comes to an athlete, I think there are 5 key elements that everyone should look at, which is obviously first one comes to training. Training is training your sport, and then nutrition is something that you need to look at in detail. I mean, yeah, your friends can get away with having an ice cream or something sugary every now and then. We think it's all right, but how does it affect your system? Because end of the day, you're an athlete, so how does it affect your performance? And then another vital element is sleep, because sleep is proven to be the best source for recovery, right? And then we come into recovery and finally mindset. So I think sleep and all these elements in general will help create the best athlete. So no matter how hard you work or how smart you work in your fitness, if you're not getting good nutrition, if you're not having calorie like nutrient dense food, if you're not sleeping enough, if you're compromising waking up at 6 a.m, if you're sleeping at say 11 12 in the night, and you think you want to be fit, you wake up at 6 in the morning and run, you're just having only about 5 hours of sleep, which is I think horrible. So you need to put in place everything and just not just get go behind the fat where you work hard on fitness, and that will eventually compromise your in the long run. There's a tendency for you to get injured or burn out. So I think you need to look at all these aspects when it comes to fitness.
Boys, Ravi and Geshan, you agree on that? Let me ask you, just me put you boys on a spot. Are you careful about your nutrition and the amount of the rest that you get? Are you boys doing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I am,
Ravindu?
for sure.
You are looking after. I know that you are looking after yourself, Geshan. And do you that you follow? I know all 3 of you work very hard on your physical aspect. So I have no clumps about it. But you said something very interesting, Nimesha, which I didn't think about. Staying in a bubble. What do you think? That if I lock you guys up, for say your quarantine 7 days inside a hotel room, how will that affect your mental aspect? Will that have a bearing once you get outside, that cooped up in a room?
I think so because I mean we're very being Sri Lankans. I think we really like to entertain people. We like to meet our friends, do all these things. But when you're in that system, it's important that the teams or like the management of these teams or the players in general have certain um, I would say events or activities that can take their mind off this boredom. So for instance, it could be music, it could be playing a few board games or anything like that. So it's important because it's very easy for you if you're not doing well in a certain tournament to dwell on that. And so then you need to overcome that adversity. I think even Shanuka had asked,
Yeah.
like failure is a normal thing when it comes to sports, and how can we overcome that. So I think especially when you're in a bubble like you asked, it could be a hard task, and it is important to educate these players, educate everyone on how to do these things, because it's not something that we know from, but these skills we learn day by day. So I think it's important to put that extra effort to teach these players, and from players point of view to grab these things, because it's and at the end of the day it's only going to affect and appreciate your game. So you need to be able to embrace these changes. That's not something we can get away with. You have to stay in a bubble. So I think as a team, how can we overcome certain situations, how can we help each other? I think that having that camaraderie will help up to a great extent.
Well said. What do you boys think, Ravindu and Geshan?
Yeah, again, it's also about understanding yourself first, because something that will work well for another person will not work well for you. So you need to understand what your requirement and what is more suitable for you. So maybe if someone's fitness schedule in general, yes, there we have general fitness schedule, but it will, if it works for someone else, but it might not work for you. So
Yep.
first you need to realize and understand what is the best for you to get your optimum performance. So that is the first thing that you need to work out. And when it comes to mental health, yeah, to get you away from all the stress and depressions, there are different ways. I mean, maybe for me, watching a movie would give me a relief. For someone else, maybe a reading book. Someone else, maybe playing cards or anything. So it depends on person to person. So you have to identify what is the best solution for you to get out of it and get your optimum mental health. But also you have to keep in mind we all have to work on for a collective goal. So we always should keep that in our mind, that we should be aware of the collective goal that we always have to work for, the team has to work for, and we have to work on our best strategies. We have to identify the strategies for us before helping out another player. We first have to identify our potential and the way that we can get out of these issues, and then maybe understand another player and help them out too.
Very well said, Geshan. What they say, like when you fly in an aircraft, and if you listen to safety instructions, they always say first attend to yourself before you help others. If you are in a dark place, that first of all you should come out of that before helping others. But Ravindu is just struggling at times with his connectivity. Ravindu, are you still with me, son? Okay, but you said a very interesting thing, Nimesha. Especially if a guy is failing, like what Shanuka asked. Yes, that staying in a bubble, and if you don't have that support from your colleagues, the teammates, I believe when that's it becomes very hard. So you believe that it's important, like a setup like that that you need a mentor kind of thing that the boys can go to in case that they go through a bad patch. It can happen to any human, that like that the hardest part is that there are a couple of things. Yes, as sportsmen, you all can have a bad period, so then the management need to to back you up, identify your talent, your potential, and then you back you up, just basically give you confidence and say, no worries, son, we will back you all the way. But I did think about it, how hard it can be in a bubble and then have a miserable season. That's a very interesting aspect. Nimesh, if you can, why did you say that?
Yeah, because I for one, I haven't been in a bubble yet, but
Yeah.
I know. I've spoken to the guys who have, the
Yeah.
friends I play with. What sort of an experience it is, because I think creating that environment within the team where you can trust each other, where you can open up to each other, is one of the most fundamental and important aspects. I think if you create that environment, that friendly environment, I think having that would itself be a great pillar for anyone. Because if I can open up to anyone, if I can say, look here, I think I'm struggling here, what do you think I could do? It might, but having yourself not dwell about it and just open up to someone itself is a great win, I think. So that's a challenge that we all have to overcome, to create that environment first. And then another thing would be, I personally know Ravindu and Ravindu, they work a lot on the mental aspect when it comes to meditation and all these things. So even learning from them, looking at them, I think Ravindu could answer this way better than me. They would know like certain techniques that may have helped them, And when it comes to performance, I think, like Shanuka asked, it's success. It doesn't really come. Sometimes if you fail, sometimes you succeed, but when you fail, how to overcome such situations. So, like Geshan said, I think it's no set rule of thumb for everyone. Like the way he would overcome it would be different to the way I would. But it's also a great opportunity to get to know oneself, because when we are usually playing matches or other than the situation, I think there are a lot of outside distractions. But here you really get to sit down and think for oneself and see what actually works for you and what works for the team and how you can improve. So these improvements will go a long way, I think, especially the mental side. So working on that, I think would be a winner in the long run for everyone, despite them playing cricket or not in future. I think that will be a great stepping stone.
Very well said, Geshan. I think you probably, you would have played with on the same subject. You probably would have played with Little Mendo, and you boys. He's a colleague of yours. And what do you think? We all know that what a great player he is. That you boys think that he will get out of the rut that he's in right now, and that very soon that he'll come back to the national team. What do you boys think?
Yes, unfortunately, I haven't got a chance to play with him yet because I left a CCC before he coming
Right.
into CCC.
Okay.
So I think we all know that he's a very good player, very talented player, one of the best that Sri Lanka currently have
In the setup.
that we have. So it's the same thing that I think he has to understand where he needs to work on. I think he has to find a way where he can not get distracted by the social media and all these outside environment. And I think I'm pretty sure that he will come back very strong. I think he has that because all the time, every time that I have seen him playing domestic cricket, I have seen him perform really well. So it's not like he fails in domestic level also. So I think he knows where how
I
to
think
get
we all know it's a mental block, and just that that he should be able to. It's not lots of people who talk about Mendo. I think it's an issue with, okay, he has a few flaws, his technical issues, that one thing that what people, all you guys should understand is sometimes it's easier for a player that when you are new to come into the setup and start playing, because the opposition does not know much about you. But you got to understand the game is so technical, and every time that when you go out there, that every ball you play is being analyzed, and if you have any flaws in your technique, that it will be exposed in the future. So the how I know that, having worked with guys like Sangha and all, it's like anything in life, that it's a matter of, evolving in what you do. You can't be the same person what you are today. After this show, that you become a better person. You keep looking at, the mistakes you made, and you keep learning. The other day, I saw Chris Gale talking about, listening to Sangha. It's amazing that, what he did. He still, he said, I may be a legend, but, I still, there's room for me to learn. That's the key thing. The people, the boys who are listening out there must always think that there's every day it's a learning curve, learning process. The more you learn, that you more you do, work hard on your technique and your game and your fitness and your mental aspect of it, that you become better players. And Ravindu, and whilst you were struggling to get back online, Nimesha said that you do special mental techniques to keep your focus. And you and Dewey, if you can tell the listeners out there, I can see your mom watching you, so don't get distracted. What sort of this, the mental work that you do to keep your focus?
Well, sir, personally for me, I'd like to, whenever I'm not playing cricket, I like to be traveling a lot. It really helps me be mentally free, and I think meditation is also a very, very good way to keep that focus going, and focus on what you have to do at hand. And for me, it's sort of it works together for me. I'm not someone who can stay in one place when I'm free, so I'd like to travel a lot. That gives me a lot of mental freedom, I think. And also,
so when you say travel a lot, so you get out of your home environment and you go out station, is that what you do to,
Exactly, sir. I like to be around nature, and I think in turn that environment gives me all the good vibrations needed to sit down and meditate somewhere. And hopefully when cricket starts up again, I'm always mentally fresh to take in that challenge, and that's where I am at the moment.
Very well said. Very interesting, that I think I think various players have various ways and means of breaking the momentum. I mean that otherwise you, say for an example, you do the same thing, get over boredom. Some, as Geshan said, probably you play cards, but not during the game. That as a coach and a former manager, which I will not endorse. And I think, everybody who is listening out there, my view on that, so many people ask me, what do you think? Now, it should not have happened. Whether you are part of the squad or, part of the 15 or in a bubble, I think as team members, everyone must support the boys out there. I think that's something we will always speak about. But in your spare time that you get together with the boys, playing a game of cards or playing a game of billiards, and, the boys, like everybody, like switch on and switch off, and how they switch off in various means. Some boys, just like to listen to music. Some would like to, go on Netflix, like Nimesha probably, watch a documentary on Netflix, just to get your mind off. And as Ravindu said, get out of town, change of scenario, that helps a lot. I think, one of the, I don't know, as Nimesha said, mate, if I have to go into a bubble scenario, I don't think I'll last for more than 48 hours. No, I can't handle it. I would rather, stay at home. I don't know, in case that if they start the white ball format and suddenly the SLC asks all of us to go into like a bubble kind of scenario, I would send my assistant coach and rather stay at home. I can't do that. I'm too old. I can't be cooped up in a room, and I will go crazy, and I will start taking out on you boys. And how?
But you have a set of very exciting players at your club. You would enjoy the time at bubble.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I suppose we got a great set of boys. That I think what Ravindu said, the most important thing is change of scenario. And I think that's the hardest part, which you didn't think about. I think guys who are listening out there, if you ever in a bubble, if you are allowed to get out of your room, at least go to the gym, walk around the hotel, and just stay close to the nature, and just that what you call stereotype thinking, otherwise confined within four walls, that will drive you mad. I'm sure that affects your game and your levels of fitness, because you'll be cramped up, your muscles are not working, and then the moment you go outside, it doesn't matter how good you warm up yourself, do your warm ups before the game, but it can't break you down because you're mentally, if you're not there. It's brilliant what Ravindu said. And whenever you get time off, if you can travel outside Colombo, and it rejuvenates you, I think that's the word, that re-energizes you. That's very important. How you switch off. Brilliant. There's another question coming from Riza coach, and Bhanuka says, since Ravindu is from a proper cricketing background, and don't take me wrong, you can't compare the two eras where his father represented the country and now he's totally different. Okay, we talk about fitness schedules and fitness. Are we doing what's relevant to the sport? So many are nice to look at these days, but do they have the match fitness? Okay, I lost it. Kick pass or cross kick or grubber kick or high bomb playing in fly up. How much you learn about taking the right options under pressure? I think the question is for me. I think, boys, I think I will answer on behalf of you boys. Bhanuka, it's yesterday that, I don't know if Dulan is a qualified physio attached to Cricket Australia. Yes, Cricket Australia. And, I had a chat with him. And I was going to ask you boys, what you guys think of the new fitness standards, that the yo-yo test that Sri Lanka cricketers. I think there is a wrong conception, the concept here, like the wrong notion. I would say yo-yo test is not completely out. So if a team opts say that okay, we would like to do the yo-yo, you still have the option of doing the yo-yo. Or if the team decides, no, we will do the 2-kilometer run, that's optional. So the two options are there, what is best for a team. And to answer Bhanuka's questions, I think these are, and prior to this, there were lots of other discussions outside that, the people are saying, we should not be doing these standards set by other countries or other test playing nations or other professional sports. We should be doing something that is workable, acceptable, and suitable for Sri Lanka cricket. And very interesting. I'm not. I hope one of the trainers listening out there can tell us. And I know where Bhanuka is coming from. Previously when we had Avishka, when I was team manager and when he was the coach of the A team, sometimes we had this. At the management meetings, we had very heated arguments with the trainer. Avishka always believed the stereotype standards that are in place is not workable. That everybody can't have that. That as Bhanuka says, you can look good, you carry a six-pack, and all big muscles, so on and so forth. It may suit Nimesha, Ravindu, but perhaps it will not Geshan or Bhanuka. That and what Avishka said, when he was asked to drop his weight down from 95 to 80, that his game suffered, that he felt very weak, and that his hand-eye coordination, and he lost out a lot, and that he could not score. That it's a very it's a arguable, and what I'm saying is that if you going to look at your whole squad in one measurement, or can you have exceptions where a person can carry a little more body fat in him, yet he could perform, that he has match fitness? What do you boys think about the current these fitness standards in place? I would like to hear from all three of you. We start with Nimesha. You are the fitness man. What do you think of the new 2-kilometer run that they have put in place?
I think it's one thing to have certain standards and get players to meet the standards. Fitness in general does not work for a sport like cricket. It's not general fitness that we are looking for. It's fitness towards the game. So fitness towards performance that we're looking for. Like Bhanuka said, I think we need to make sure that these boys are performing at their sport, and fitness or emphasizing so much on fitness does not essentially bring down the levels of performance to their sport. But of course, I think fitness is also personalized. But what I do may not work for someone else. What maybe might not work for Ravindu. What Ravindu does may not work for Geshan, and what Geshan does might not work for you. So I think fitness is very personalized and a very subject, very how can I say it? It is a subject that needs a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of research being done, and I think measuring and monitoring. So, for instance, if you ask someone to go from 90 kilos to 80 kilos, why would be a good question, and how would I do? How do I do that? Do I do that by fasting while playing cricket and while having matches? Is that the best time to do it? And will it optimize my performance? But is that the way to go about it, or how do you track it? It has to be a very slight track and like a very slight progression. I think if you are progressing at your sport, if you are playing well, and if it is a step towards taken towards maximizing your potential even more, I think explaining that to the particular athlete would be very vital, because he definitely has a right to know, not just merely saying, okay, you need to lose this much, but why do you need to lose this much? What will this gain you? In terms of cricket, what will this look like? How are you going to do this? How is your food going to look like? So giving all those details, I think we can give all those details. There's technology to do that, definitely. So I think relying on those technologies, relying on the person, and taking him through that process where even he would have trust in it, not just merely asking him to do this, giving him all the information he needs, that will get his or her performance to the next level. So I think giving that information to the player is something that communication definitely needs to be there.
Well said. Ravindu, what do you think of the new standards that they have put in place? 2 kilometer run instead of a yo-yo to everyone. Do you agree? You got to run it in what, 8.35 minutes? How challenging is that?
Well, sir, for starters, I haven't done anything apart from the yo-yo test. But
Yeah.
Being around Ravindu and having his input on it, I feel like it's a really good initiative. Definitely upping the standards, and it is definitely what we need. But I think just like what Nimesha said, we usually would have a very specific and different set of standards that we need to adhere to. And I totally agree with Nimesha because he covered all the bases there. And as a player myself, I'm quite aware of the areas I need to improve. So for me, it would be endurance to bowl longer spells, which I do not have right now, and I'm very comfortable with shorter bursts. So for me, I think I have a fair idea of what I need to do to get there. And I think it should be the same for all the players, and it should be very specific, just like what Nimesha mentioned before.
Yeah, like what Banuka says is that if you are a bowler, you bowl at least 1 hour and 50 minutes. If you are an all-rounder, you do both balancing it, and top of that, you do a proper hard session of fielding where you have no time or strength to roam on the street. And we keep training hard on proper fitness, maybe thrice a week. But hasn't it changed now? A bowler would bowl 6 over max. Specific instructions apparently. Very true. If you are focusing, knowing, other countries, they keep playing matches and practicing to give. Don't you think we lack that in SL? To tell you boys, yes, that I agree with. But Banuka says, those days, here now, if again, if Dulan or any of the physios or trainers listening or watching, I have nothing against them. What I'm trying to say is, during our time, when the fast bowlers get to the nets, you can't get the ball off them. They'll bowl, and bowl. And at the end of the day, and they may end up running, 5 rounds. Once the training is over, or they play a game of, touch rugby or, game of football, and they wouldn't stop running. But nowadays, I can't, it's okay. I'm not, since, I too have to carry out, like certain uh, what can I say, that instructions given to me by the so-called professionals, that the bowler will bowl only what? You come for training, let's say, coach, 40 balls. That I have then the graphs and say that I'm nearing my capacity, that I can bowl only 18 today, and then you go for matches and breaking down. Unfortunately, we don't have any fast bowlers here. Geshan, what do you think? Physio is telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and not allowing a player, and the player knows what is required. That the not giving you the freedom and being manipulated by the system. Is that going to help you? It's beneficial in the long run.
No, I really don't think, because I'm a firm believer. I fully agree with Nimesha and also Banukaya and what they said, because uh, it's not about your match fitness, and what you do at home is two different things. And if you are a bowler who bowls in test cricket, just bowling 6 overs only at training, I don't think that will that will train you properly for the test match cricket. And I think for the past year, I think we have been suffering from the pandemic. Yes, there was a trend. You need to work out at home, and maybe there were trends like doing 100 push-ups and maybe 100 squats and all that. But that was a trend just to was set up just to get out of the stress that people had while staying at home. So you have to identify, if you are a bowler, it's not about yes, it is a standard. You have to do 100 push-ups or anything. But if you are a bowler, you have to identify. You need to, once the season starts, once everything goes back to normal, you might have to bowl 100 balls in the match. So you have to work on that. So no point just doing the usual fitness schedules, but ignoring what you have to do in real life and real matches. So I think that's two different things. That, like Banukaya said, no matter you have six packs or anything, if you can't bat for maybe 3-4 hours, so that doesn't help you. And
Very interesting.
when it comes to the this 8-minute run, I don't think it's fair enough for at once for a person. I mean, all at once, if you are to give the players saying that tomorrow we have a run and you have to run 2 kilometers in 8 minutes, I don't think it's fair, because different players, they train differently. So give them time to train for that. Give them time to see, okay, am I behind? Am I behind the time? So let them train for maybe a week or two for that, and then set the benchmark, and then have the test. So because I might be able to run fast for 100 meters, but I might not be able to. I might even if I can run for 2 kilometers, I might not realize what pace I should run. For that, you have to give them a time to identify what your pace that you should run for. Maybe let's say it's 2 kilometers. You should give them time to identify their strategy for that.
Right, boys, just a basic question. What is your average? How do you think, how fast you can run a kilometer? Just approx. Nimesha?
I actually did it yesterday. I just tried it after training.
Yeah.
It was 3 minutes and 52 seconds something yesterday.
Wow.
So I don't know, but by all means, it can differ, because I'm seeing a few comments where they're saying that by all means, we are not saying fitness is not important for the guys who've asked, but what we are trying to say is fitness in general is a different topic as opposed to performance-based fitness. So I think that needs to be clearly understood. We are not saying we don't need to be fit. What we're saying is it needs to it has to help you perform better, because I mean, no matter how fit you are, if you can, because fitness, it essentially doesn't fitness in general is not only running. Okay, so fitness is how fit you are across because it's a very broad spectrum when it comes to fitness, whether you can run 100 meters fast, whether you can run long distances, whether you can lift heavy, or you can do a few power lifts. Like all these things come into place. So I think fitness is not just one aspect. And what we're trying to stress about here is improving players' levels of fitness that would improve their game, improve their performance. So performance-based fitness, I think, uh, who knows this thing? I mean, who has a sound knowledge or players will agree with me, because we need to maximize our performance. Because we play cricket. Why we play cricket is to put out our performance. So fitness is one component. So what I think is our fitness needs to be catered towards our performance on the field. So that's what we are trying to stress here. And by no means are we saying that we need to forget fundamentals of fitness and forget fitness, because I saw a few comments.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's correct. I'm with
quickly to answer that, Banuka had asked, what they did in the past, and I can see Ravindu has because Hashan is watching the show, and Hashan had said how much running we used to do. Mate, we didn't have. Just to tell you, it's a nice story. Now, everyone who's listening out there, the time we played, that we didn't have any qualified fancy trainers. Whenever we got selected to the national team, they used to get, on a temporary basis, they used to get trainers from the sports ministry. All they did was they got us to run, and we ran and ran. We had a guy called his nickname was Duana Mahatya. I think he was staying somewhere in Nugegoda. That he was stationed at the sports ministry. I was told that from Nugegoda he runs to the sports ministry, and he runs back after work. And whenever we train, he runs with us. That kind of a trainer he was. And I think he was Derwin Pereira, late Mr. Derwin Pereira, all due respect. Some of us, when we see the guy, we used to throw up, because that's how much he used to get us to run. So we just ran and ran and ran. So ask Banuka's question, that whether the fitness, the time that, when Sri Lanka won 1996 World Cup, etc., that times have changed. Now, good old days, if you carry an injury, that you could call a runner, that that just to that you can still, that even if you have a few casualties in your team, there were ways and means a team could maneuver to end the game. But today the rules have changed. You can't, unless this concussion, you can't have a replacement. No runners given. So it's no easy task, and and the intensity perhaps that you boys are playing at the moment, and the number of games that you play for a year. So it's a massive workload. Therefore, I think that all those things were taken into account when they put these so-called standards in place. I think that's why it's there, and so it is primarily important that you have your fitness, as Nimesha said, but it should not be the only reason. And if a player could still perform right and at the highest level, and with basic fitness, I think that's the way it should be. Before I wind up and just give you boys a chance to speak, I must tell you this story for everyone who's listening out there, and hope Ravindu also can join. It's a very interesting story. And the time I was manager and we were touring Australia, and we talking about Sangakkara. Sangha had a specific schedule. When we we do our warm-ups and we hit the nets, and he tells me, manage 20 minutes, just watch time 20 minutes, and then let me know. Because Sangha would go do throwdowns, for 20 minutes, and then when I tell Sangha get ready, and no sooner the first set is over, Sangha is in the nets. He will bat. He'll bat and bat and bat, and he'll come off, and he'll go to the coach and he'll do throwdowns, then he'll go to the bowling machine, he will bat, and he would, all 3.5 hours that the Scott will train, Sangha would bat. And if there are still the net bowlers have little bit left in them, and that they could bowl, Sangha would still bat. And it so happened that couple of sessions, and everybody's in the team bus that we are ready to go, and we had to get back to the hotel for dinner, so on and so forth, and Sangha is still batting. So one day I had to call Sangha and said, mate, that we have a small issue here, that everyone's done and you are still batting, and that we need to sort of you need to bat early, or we have to make some preparations that how to go about. And I remember Sangha was asking me, is a manage, what do you expect every time I go out there to bat? I said, I expect you to get 200 runs or bat 6 hours. So you're telling me, if you don't want me to bat 3.5 hours in the nets, how do you expect me to bat for 6 hours? Very simple. So what I did, I said, Sangha, bat as much as you want. So what I would do is, the team bus goes if the other boys want to go. Either I'll keep the the liaison officer and the transport for Sangha to get back, or that I tell Sangha, take a cab and get back to the hotel. Sangha, if you look at Sangha's fitness, that he's not a fitness fanatic, or he was naturally fit. He was a natural athlete, but the fitness was the mental strength and ability to bat in the nets for a longer period of time. He had a very simple philosophy. What he thought was, if you can't bat 3.5 hours the nets, how would you go out there and bat? Very simple. So that's what I think Bhanuka is saying, that sometimes you can't base your selections purely on standards. You're based on your skin folds or the ability to run your yo-yos in a specific time period, and you can't write a player off. That's what Bhanuka is trying to get at, and which is a valid point. Which is I hope people will look at it. That we need to strike a balance somewhere, that to make the best out of players. Ravindu, what do you say, that that everything should be based on fitness, or what Bhanuka is saying, that you've got to strike a balance?
I think you definitely need to strike a balance and pay equal attention to skill, and specific skill training is what matters the most. And like Nimesha said, fitness is something that complements that, definitely.
Yeah, you said that then there are you can see that there are pundits out there, the bullshit fitness fundamental to any game, especially the modern game. I'm sure that some of these guys who have not even played cricket, that's passing judgment on you boys on fitness. And Mr. Silva, would like to say that you are very critical, but about the boys, I can tell you that the boys are fit. There is no doubt about it. We are talking about there's all these standards that put in place. It is a must, or whether you could strike a balance, if you know what I mean. That's I always tell people who are what I call the critics who stay at home and pass judgment on others. You should first, people should walk the talk. You should get out there and see whether you could actually do it. Because why I'm saying it, when they put those standards out, that the people should run 2 kilometers in 8.3 minutes, that everybody thought, it's a joke. And some of these guys who are unable to walk a kilometer in 10 minutes, just trying to say what the boys should do. So when if anybody out there criticizing the players and their fitness levels, first need to walk the talk. And this is a problem in Sri Lanka. There's a brilliant story. I'm saying it I would like to, as a coach, I will always protect my boys, and as a manager, my team guys. There's a famous story in India. It says that the man walked into a kiosk. It's a small tea places. The places that you find on the roadside. If you're especially Ravindu will know that when he's traveling, that you get these wayside little tea boutiques. What we call little ones. It's brilliant to stop at one of those shops and have a plain tea and maybe a roti, and it's absolutely refreshing. So you sit, and then the guys will start having a chat with you, and they say, if you tell that I'm Ravindu Tillakaratne, the guy says, me Geshan Wimaladharma, and they'll start talking, and they will tell you, mate, that even if you go to the barber, to the salon, and the guy is cutting your hair, the guy will tell you how you should bat, how you should do your fitness, and everything. The guy is an expert. But the fact is, those guys, one of those guys can't make a decent cup of tea or can't cut your hair. there are lots of guys out there, you don't believe how many people tell me that, how I should coach, how I should approach you, how I should set standards. And these are the worst guys, that I ever know, that, they can't, say boo to a, ghost, that, just go on talking about, whilst criticizing everyone, that's, as a nation, I think we need to be like more understanding, know about the subject before start being very critical and telling people off. I always tell people that walk the talk, then you can talk. Otherwise, if you don't know the subject, it'll be like that if I start talking to a doctor about the COVID pandemic and what a doctor should do and how how he should treat his patients, it'll be a joke. Or trying to tell a lawyer, how he should, to run a case in court, and lots of people sitting out there, just saying, absolutely, Asulu, Batkana Yodea. Jata Silva, I seriously would like to see you one day, because you are like very critical, and just you whether you could actually walk the talk, my friend. Otherwise, I will tell you where to go. Seriously, you are like, you're making me mad on the show right now. Anyway, boys, just this is what I'm saying. That's it's simple. What is Yatru say, guys? Why so negative about the fitness? Any thoughts about Hardik Pandya, the bitter truth? Who's negative about fitness?
Can
We
I
were
add
not
something
negative
to
about fitness. We were
Yeah.
actually talking about the performance-based fitness. If your fitness doesn't help you to perform well, that's something else. So there's something wrong in it. So you have to work on what is best for you. So yes, in the current aspect of the game, there are certain standards to follow, but at the same time, you need to concentrate on your performance. You have to work on your fitness in a way that it maximize your performances. So that's what I think Nimma and even Ravindu, everyone was referring to. I think he's keeping it interested and interesting, also exciting. But
I know, but it's completely misunderstood. As Banuka says, there is no argument here. The fitness is important. We are talking about whether we could strike a balance between performance fitness and actual fitness. That's what we are trying to say. Yeah, Nima.
I think Mr. Bilal Yusuf, I think he has made a very important point that I am pretty sure he's very well qualified fitness coach as well. I think, like he said, like how can we monitor these players? How can we prepare these players? Because when a player is not performing, it's very easy to put him down even further, right? Why we talk about Virat Kohli and all the Indians is, and all the Indians are because they perform well at their sport, not because, and then that comes into their fitness. Okay, we say because of their fitness, because that's what we see on social media. We don't see what they work on technically, their mind, their stress levels, how do they manage these things. These are things that we don't see. So it's very easy for us to come into certain judgments by merely looking at a person and looking at what they do. Of course, there are definite ways and means how an athlete should be living and performing. And like Mr. Yusuf said, I think we need to monitor and we need to encourage these players and give them information and as to how they can do this, because I think providing that education will be very important. And as you know, I think most of these players are very keen to learn. So I was listening to a podcast which was by Josh Philippe, and he was telling how it changed his game, because right now he was, I think, player of the tournament at the Big Bash League, and he's just 23 years. So he was telling how he got dropped from the under 19 or under 17 team Western Australia, if I'm not mistaken, and how he improved his game, because there's no doubt that there's immense talent here in Sri Lanka, and we keep from I think from your era. I mean, there's no we continue to give out good talent, but are we managing the other aspects of the individual is my question. The mental side. Josh Philippe said when he got dropped off the Western Australian team, under 19 under 17 team, he had to fly to England and he was by himself. So that helped him expose himself, that helped him identify himself, and then that's the reason for him to come back to Australia and perform well. So it essentially might be fitness, might not be fitness, but just dwelling on this fact will only make things hard, because for someone who's not informed, you'll just go out for maybe a run, or you'll just try to work as hard as possible uh, in fitness and get injured. Because I'm talking through my own experience. Even after rugby, it was a very hardship for me to cricket, and then because the needs of the game was different. In
True.
rugby, it was different. In cricket, it's different. And in cricket, T20 1 day, 3 day, 4 day matches where we play, there are different needs for the game. So I think making that shift was hard. So I think, like Mr. Yusuf said, how do we monitor these players? How do we inform these players? And how can we maximize the potential they have is what we should be aiming at, I think.
Very well said, Nimesha. Just Dashi Pereira. Uh, she had said, she's an amazing lady. She was, she was in Sri Lanka. Now she's based in Canada, and she's perhaps is the only female cricket coach in the country. And at her age, she has transformed herself into a beautiful this swimwear model. That she has her own way of training people. She's a motivator, she's a nutritionist, and many other things. I would love to have Dashi on the show one day. Hopefully, as she says, agree with Nimesh, the fitness has to be sports performance and enhancement training for the specific sport. Basically train to improve your game, speed, agility, quickness, and endurance. That's what we are talking about. Basically, it's not that we are discounting that fitness is is not important. Specific training, not because that is because someone else is doing. That's not what we are talking about. Specific training, and that's what it is. And it's I think Banuka and Janta is still going on, and that's what is going on there. Okay, that's Bilal Yusuf for fitness benchmarks are established and players monitored, prepared for the benchmarks in other point altogether. Personally, I don't think we should be. That's what Nimesha you're talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about his comment. I think that's a very important and vital comment that you made.
Bilal is like he's top trainer in the country, has appeared on my show before, knows what he's talking about, and that's the kind of advice I would love to hear from. And Ravin Samarko naam easy mate. It's sometimes I lose it, but I try to keep my control all good, because I take care of my boys. I'm not like I don't know about some other managers. If anyone says anything against my boys, I'll be the first one to stand up. That's the code that I always followed, and that's how it's going to be. And I'll look after my boys, and I'll stand up for them all the time. Boys, you guys been stars. Like lots of positive comments, and that you've been talking for like almost 1 hour 10 minutes. That probably 1 hour 20 minutes, and it's absolutely amazing to have you guys on the show. That's what are your? Did I miss anything that what you want to say on the show now that the season is starting? What your aspirations are? How you want to place yourself? You can tell us, like from a player's point of view, what do you expect from your respective clubs, and from management, from SLC? What do you guys have in mind?
I mean, for starters, I think we are blessed to be doing what we love despite of the current situation, and I'm so very grateful for everyone who's been working hard to put this together. I think we are playing cricket in Sri Lanka after a very long time, especially I think it was a very, very big need for the domestic players, because most of my colleagues, my friends, we depend on these tournaments. So I think we are very grateful that we're starting this tournament, and I think I would like to wish everyone and hope everyone would have a good run and eventually make Sri Lanka cricket grow taller and taller.
Boys, before I like just before we go off, that
Yeah.
I believe all you guys are okay except Geshan, who has his own business. Are you boys full-time cricketers? And Ravindu just joined army. Nimesha, how do you see the other boys playing in the circuit, and how are they, how without any cricket being played, that why I'm asking you this question. The time we played, we were not professionals. We all had other jobs. That's what Geshan and we spoke about, and how the game was played 30 years ago. We all, we had to take leave. Probably not just we were excused. We left our respective working places at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get to training. And some of the boys, they still do. The guys who work in banks, etc., etc. But in general, are lots of boys who are playing in domestic cricket purely depending on cricket. And if the cricket comes to a standstill, how will it affect their livelihood?
I think it did up to a great extent because professionalizing the sport for the place, because we play at the topmost level. If you say the first class level, it's the topmost level of domestic cricket here in Sri Lanka. So I think there's a need to professionalize the system so that the players can. I mean, that's where the sport is at this age, I think. So where the players can merely focus on the sport, focus on what they need to do, and be professional cricketers. So I think the step taken towards that would be a great win for us.
Yes. I
Geshan?
think over time, the sport and the entire world has been professionalized and also commercialized, I would say, because unlike in the past, right now, the current world is everything is commercialized. You don't get anything for free nowadays. So, when talking about club cricketers, for them to uh, work hard and be dedicated and give their full time for cricket, they should also have the financial stability. I highly doubt that we have that in we have that to a certain extent, but I don't think they still have a guarantee where they can concentrate wholly just on solely on cricket, and then also manage their lifestyle and manage their families. I mean, I'm not talking about the contracted players from the board. I'm talking about in general about the club cricketers. So I
Yep.
think because club is I think the top level where you choose cricketers to play from for national setup. So I think you have to give that assurance. Okay, you have to build that assurance in players. Okay, you work hard on cricket, you practice, you put your full time to cricket, and you are well taken care of. I think we need to be a little more professional in that level, and that is something that we need to take a look at and improve.
All right, boys. But there is a talk now. I don't know that some of the suggestions that have come through, that to reduce the number of teams that are playing in Division One. So probably the recommendations are they probably drop the number of teams to 12, or maximum 12 or 14, and scrap the Division One tournament, and Tier B will not be recognized as Division One. And how will it help the game, or how will it affect your fellow cricketers, especially Geshan? Guys like you, Ravindu, what are your views on that? Reducing the number of teams to 14, or just taking the first class status off? What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be more competitive and definitely going to bring out the cream in Sri Lanka a lot more. Because all the players will have to fight for their places in the clubs, and there'll be a lot more competition within the clubs. So I think in order to bring out the best players in Sri Lanka, that will be a very good initiative. But also at the same time, there'll be a lot of players who won't be able to play good cricket for that entire season. But it comes down to the greater good in the end. I think if it does Sri Lanka cricket a world of good, then they should definitely stick to that initiative.
Nimesha?
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with Ravind. If it does good for Sri Lankan cricket as a whole, if it's going to make it more competitive and, like Ravindu said, bring out the best in everyone, I completely agree that it's a very good step.
Geshan?
Yeah, yes, it's very true. I also completely agree. But to add on to that, I would want that to be a little more competitive. Let's say 10 teams on top and 10 teams in the second level. But at least I think at least three teams should be demoted, for my belief. And maybe another three teams should be promoted. So then the competitiveness is there. But you should not change that for a while. So unless you play a competitive cricket, you will not be able to survive in the top first. There should not be a guarantee that you will survive in the top 10. So I think that if you can uh, set a benchmark like that and play the tournament for maybe 3 4 years, then they will work for it. The players will work for it. So it will not be easy for them to survive in the top level. Even the clubs will have to get the proper players, create a proper squad in order to survive in the first class level, and that would make the tournament more competitive. Yes, there is an aspect, where you need to have five first class game in order to travel to other countries.
Yep.
But likewise, I said like I said the last in the last session, if the five first class matches would not take into considerations if our cricket standards go down. So if our cricket goes downhill, other countries will not take our five first class matches into considerations in future, because you don't get proper players playing those five first class matches. So I
Great to
think
hear that. Nimesha and Ravindu, do you agree on that? That that there's no issue taking first class status in tier B. Is that not a problem?
Well, I from what I know, I think they're going to. Was this the way how it was some time ago? Because I'm not entirely sure. I think, like even Ravindu spoke, end of the day, if it's going to make this the whole setup competitive, if it's going to make the players who play at the top level more professional and work on their game a bit more hard, if it's going to give them that scope and that space to do so by being professional cricketers, I think that'll improve us as players and individuals, and also end of the day improve Sri Lankan cricket.
Ravindu, you agree that there
That's
is no
something.
there is no issue in taking the first class status off. There's no problem. Ravi, are you there? I think Ravindu is slightly frozen. Nimesha just okay. Dashi again. It says, I believe that someone who's passionate about any sport, both the skill for the sport and fitness could be taught and instilled in them. Passion, commitment, and dedication for the sport is the key. Exactly what we are talking about, isn't it, boys? That's what we said. At not at any given point that we discounted that the fitness is not a must, but this is exactly what we spoke about. Am I right, Nimesha?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And then Mohammad Reza Tahir finally, just he's talking. He was talking about rugby earlier, so I ignored I ignored coach.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he was asking, how did you manage to kick with both feet or something? So I did not, was going to. I did speak about it. Okay, he said Lahir Uddara and Duvindu, the highest run scorer and wicket taker, not selected for SA2 and England home series. As domestic first class players, what your thoughts on that? Okay, Nimesh Geshan, can you? I do you okay? No worries. That you are back on line. Don't worry about it. What are your thoughts, Nimesh and Lahir Uddara and Duvindu not getting selected or not being considered?
Well, I mean, look, they performed at the highest level of cricket in Sri Lanka, and their performances speak for themselves. So I think it's not up to me to talk about the selection process or whatever. I'm sure they are in the squads and they are in the system. So there's a certain thought process behind what was going on that we might not know, but I think yeah, they did perform. They did perform exceptionally well. So I think it would have been nice to see them on tour. But I'm pretty sure there's. I think they gave some sort of a reason as to why they weren't selected. Did they do so? I'm not quite sure, but I think as first class players, I think look, these things can happen. I think it's not. I what I firmly believe is that it's not within my control. These things are not within my control. So it's important that you keep performing over and over again. If you get the call up, you're ready to perform at the highest level for your country. If not, you keep doing what you love and you keep at it consistently. So I think
Very
that's
well said,
definitely
Nimesha. Perseverance. Perseverance is the word. And you keep going, you keep going. Someday, that that your performances will be such that the authorities will not be able to discount it. They'll have to take notice of and to play you one day. But my only issue is that people should not discount the domestic level. That, and if they don't recognize the performances that are happening at domestic level, then there's no point you guys playing. So there has to be some sort of recognition, and that they should be selected and given a chance. That's my view. Just to Ravindu, put you on the spot, mate. What are your views? Your brother not getting a run, but I think he was in the squad to go to West Indies. What do you think? Your twin brother not getting the chance?
Well, he's in the squad. He worked immensely hard, but I don't know
yeah.
if I'm someone who can take news like that. Um, I mean, yeah, he's someone who knows how to deal with things like that. So I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be working harder until he gets that opportunity. And it's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes when you don't make the final cut, but so I know my brother very well. He works very hard, and he's very
Absolutely.
focused. And
I can
he will
vouch for that.
definitely be back up
That's
there.
it. Keep working
Like,
hard. Keep working
Both,
hard. Yeah.
both Lahiru and Duvindu, both they should be complimented for their efforts and their performances.
Absolutely.
I think, especially Duvindu, I think how much he has improved over time and how much he's dedicated. I have personally seen last year when I was training at BRC, so it should be definitely complimented. And also, I think he's strong enough to uh, you know. Grind it hard and do well in the coming tournaments as well. So I think it's not that far for him also. I think, but at the same time, I'm not sure. It's not in my control. I'm not sure whether the people who should, people who matters are following it. It's not just about taking wickets. It's about whom you take it against. So last year I saw Dwindu bowling and I followed it closely because I was also playing. I saw the wickets that he took was against really quality opponents. If you take a look at it, so those things has to be followed properly. Yeah, because I think the people who are in control with selection and all that, because it's not for me to comment, but should follow that closely. So and see what sort of a performance that they have given. So
Very well said. Very well said. Mohammed Reza said, Mr. Charith, my previous question was not only about rugby, it's about decision making under pressure. Nimesha, you want to, decision making under pressure, it's all about thinking on your feet. That's what we do, isn't it? All the
Absolutely.
training. Yeah, go ahead, son.
I think one of the very best advices I've received from my previous rugby coach, Theo Serafim, was play what you see. So we did a lot of preparation behind. We put in a lot of time to plan against the opponents. You wouldn't believe the slightest detail. Even during halftime, we kept talking. There's a lot of work that went behind. But before the match and on match day, what he told me was play what you see. So I think that applies to cricket definitely. I think that even Ravindu and even Duvindu will agree with me. It's basically living in the present moment, like playing what you see, living in that particular moment, which is pretty much the only thing in your control. So how you react to certain situations, how you react to that particular ball, how to make the best decision. It comes with practice, definitely. So working hard at it in whichever thing you do. I think even Geshan would agree, in even in business, like how you make decisions. It's a great learning opportunity, and being exposed and being willing to learn, I think, is a great deed too.
Well
One
said,
thing
son. Very well said.
to add on to that, I think I discussed with you also, coach. I think we need to focus a little more in school cricket. I mean, even in school cricket, the foundation of it. Back in the days, we had greats like the coach, the great Lionel Mendes, and the coaches who were not just coaches, who were guiding us just to win. They taught us the discipline. I think I am fortunate enough to be one of the. I mean, at his latter stage of his coaching career, I was fortunate enough to be a student of his. So, I mean, these grades, they taught us not just how to win, they taught us the discipline and how to manage situation, and and how to live a life. They gave a lot very good life lessons. So that affected us in 90s and our early 2000s, because even because the great Arjun Rantungas and the players were playing under them, and the players who played around them had that influence from these great players who taught us how to manage situations. So I think we lack a little of like that in our school cricket, in the academy levels, in the starting, in the grooming levels, because we only play for winning to win games in school levels. Now it's too competitive, and you don't teach the proper. I mean, it's not just about cricket that we have to teach these young kids.
Very well said.
My
Ravindu, do you agree with that sentiment of Geshan that we lack?
Yeah, 100%.
That I wouldn't say that we lack good coaches. There are some brilliant coaches out there. Respect to all of them, but the culture has changed. That's what Geshan is saying, isn't it? So
Yeah.
good old days, it was not only about winning, but it's the total package what the coach has taught us, to become a total human being, just not cricket alone. But since of late, that culture has changed and it has become dog eat dog scenario, win at all costs. I think that's where we have gone wrong. Do you agree with that, Ravindu?
Definitely, and I have to mention Roger Vijay Surya. He was father figure to all of us when we grew up through the ranks from under 15s, 17s to 19s.
Yeah.
He taught us how to handshake properly, starting from very fundamental things like that, and to how we should respect our opponents, preparation, and he would give us a lot of insight into a lot of books that we should read when it
Books,
comes to
exactly.
about autobiographies, and he would give us little tips on how to deal with everyday life, also how to dress up when we go to workplaces. He would teach us to always wear shoes, even on the way to practice. So he created that environment for all of us to become better individuals while playing the game. And I think hats off to him. He taught us a lot. And yeah, I just like to give him a very special mention for being a father figure to all of us. And I think a lot of people who are watching in today can vouch for that as well.
Very well said, son. Nimesha, any special coaches that you would like to mention?
I would definitely from apart from cricket, I think Theo Seraphim, who was my rugby coach, he I think brought about a lot in me. Like I said before, like how to play the game, how away from the game and everything like that, and also I mean, there's a lot to mention because I think it's been a very sloppy and up and down process for me. But I think most and all of these coaches who have helped me, because I don't want to get away with a name or two. Everyone who has helped me has done about a great deal, and everyone whom I've spoken to, it's been very influential. And one thing, one special person that I would like to mention is Andy Andrews, who is the head coach of CrossFit Ceylon, where I train, where I used to train and coach. I mean the level, because Andy was a professional golfer, and Andy also trained at, and he studied at the IMG Academy in USA. So the thought process behind being an athlete, how you should carry yourself, thinking, and what else from your skill and fitness, what other things affect your game, all these things were taught to me by Andy. So I think I'm very much grateful to him. He knew a bit about cricket, but the rest of it, how you can, like, how to overcome adversity, and that got me into listening to podcasts by great coaches and things like that. So I think that behavior was installed and introduced to me by Andy.
Very well said, son. Just going back to Riza's question about not only rugby but decision making under pressure. I think the little that I know, that what I have acquired over the years, the knowledge, and what I'm trying to instill in you boys. All what you do in the gym, or at the nets, or like whatever your preparation, it's all about training your mind, your muscle memory. That's all skill work that you do. So once you get in the middle, as Nimesha said, you live in the present moment and you allow your body to flow. And you don't, just that you as a professional athlete, like that's what like in like the boxers do, like in rugby, that you perfect your skills, that when you see the ball coming towards you, you immediately get into position. It's not you, it's your muscle memory. That the difference between a professional and an amateur is a guy who adopts to a situation at the highest level under pressure, and who makes least amount of mistakes. So that's the difference between professional sport and amateur sports. As you grow up in life, not only in cricket, everything else in life, that as you go up higher in the ladder, or climb up the ladder, you learn to make less mistakes in life, cricket, or anything else. That's all. I have to say. I hope that makes sense what I said, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and looking at the comments, that some of the comments that came in, I must say that you guys performed beyond my expectations. You've been absolutely, absolute stars. You have shown what you guys are capable of. You guys have spoken on behalf of your colleagues, and that what problems that you have faced with, what obstacles that you need to overcome, what your future aspirations are. You have spoken very positively, and I'm blessed to have you boys. And I'm blessed that I know three of you personally, and that I have worked with you, and I would love to someday, if I'm that whatever that the discussion we had, it's beneficial to other boys who are listening out there. I think they are all this cricketing fraternity is a very small fraternity, that small family, I would say, that we are all part of a major spectacle. But we are, we all of you boys, we all contribute to a larger cause. And all I can say is, boys, I wish you nothing but the very best. And Ravindu, all the very best with your future endeavors. I hope that you will enjoy your stint with Sri Lanka Army. That's a hard place to survive, and it'll teach you a lot of things about life. And apart from cricket, that someday, Geshan, all the very best with your cricket and your work. I hope we'll all overcome. Nimesha, I hope you will overcome your injuries and whatever little niggles that you had, and that I'll see you at training soon. And good luck to you boys, and thanks again once more. It's brilliant. And
Thank you for having me.
host you, and everyone else, everybody else who supported, to everyone else who watched and commented and supported us, and who will continue to support us. Thank you very much. And people who are watching on YouTube, if you can, please subscribe, support. I appreciate your support. Any parting words, boys? Nimesha, before you go?
Nothing. It's been a good talk, actually. It's been very nice to chat with everyone and get aspects, and pretty much to clear a few doubts that a general public or general people had when it comes to cricket and fitness, which is a very controversial topic these days. But it was a nice chat. I think we everyone's pretty much informed. So let's keep working at it and just play what you see.
Well said, Nimesha. Geshan, your parting words. Can't hear you, Geshan. I think that says is muted. Geshan, can you hear us? Okay, I think you should be okay now. Okay. Ravindu, what are your parting words, son?
So thanks for having us. It was a very insightful discussion. Learned a lot from Geshan, Nimesha, and yourself, and also from everyone who interacted. They were very insightful and much needed questions asked. And I would also like to wish all the cricketers preparing for the upcoming season all the very best, and leave nothing out there but the very best.
Very well said. Hopefully, Geshan will come online. Just give Geshan. Yeah, Geshan is there. Geshan, your parting words, son.
I think I've learned a lot from these conversations as well, and also my thoughts are with Kevin. We should mention him and hope he recover fast.
Of course.
And thank you everyone for watching, and thank you for having me.
And before we go, that Leslie Manikam all the way from Australia, and you must say, boys, you had an international audience. That people commenting from Canada, USA, all over. From Australia, Leslie says, great to hear from you, youngsters. All hope is not lost after recent performance and politics. Wish you the best for the future for country and cricket's sake. Yes, and that's all I have to say. And then, as I said, it's a pleasure talking to you, boys. All is not lost, seeing guys like you who carry a positive message to your fellow colleagues, and that's the way it should be. And hopefully that that people who listen to this chat and come up firing all guns, in 2 weeks' time when we meet for another, perhaps, Mr. Wimaladharma, you will play against BRC, and don't expect any freebies. If we come up against you or Mr. Little Junior Tillakaratne, if you come up against Army, we have not forgotten, and we will take you on. But we shall play the game outside the way it should be played, but we shall always remain good buddies off field, and that's the way it should be, and that's what I teach my boys. Play hard and be friends even harder. Maintain your relationships, and be what you are. And yeah, Dashi, good to have you. Greetings from Canada. Stay blessed, guys. Take care. Hopefully, we'll see you on the show sooner than later once you finish your commitments. And Dashi has a very inspiring story to relate to the world, and that will be waiting for her to come and talk about her side of the story, how her progression from what she was a former athlete, a basketball player, to a supermodel in Canada right now. And hopefully that we could hear from Dashi soon. And once again, gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a great Sunday. Stay fit, and I'll see you boys back at training on Monday. That's the party word. And everybody out there, stay safe. Be blessed and take care of yourself. And we'll catch up again soon on A Drink with Charith. Bless you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.